are you up to?
I'm about to test some bacteria that use the Entner-Doudoroff pathway.
That's a funny name. What is it?
Well, actually, it's a metabolic pathway that breaks down one molecule of glucose into 2 molecules of pyruvate and 1 molecule of ATP.
Wow. How does that work?
Well, step 1 involves 1 molecule of glucose having a phosphate group added to it to form glucose 6-phosphate. The phosphate group comes from 1 molecule of ATP being converted into ADP. Step 2 involves the glucose 6-phosphate from the last step being oxidized to form 6-phosphogluconate. NADPH plus H is a byproduct of this step. Step 3 involves the 6-phosphogluconate from the last step being dehydrated to form 2-keto 3-deoxy 6-phosphogluconate. Step 4 involves the 2-keto 3-deoxy 6-phosphogluconate from the last step being split into 2 different 3-carbon molecules, pyruvate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Step 5 involves the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate from the previous step being converted to 1 molecule of pyruvate through the EMP pathway. 1 NADPH plus H and 2 ATP are the byproducts of this reaction. Because 1 ATP was used in step 1, this is a net of 1 ATP created by this process.
You know, I'm looking at these bacteria you're testing, and I've studied these in my lab before.
Really? Do you know when they use the pathway?
I sure do. It's commonly used for catabolism of carbohydrates containing aldehyde groups that can't be readily processed by the EMP pathway. These are typically gram-negative bacteria species that are obligate aerobes. Obligate aerobes, as you know, are oxygen dependent, which means the exception is, of course, Ximomonas, which use the Entner-Doudoroff pathway for fermentation under anoxic conditions. A common bacterial genus is the genus Pseudomonas, which tend to live and reproduce in water. They prefer warm and wet environments. They can create infections in the body to those in the hospital for surgery, as well as those with severe illnesses. Another common genus is Calobacter. Calobacter are heterotrophic aerobes that live in aquatic environments. They attach to plants or other microorganisms via a stalk. Rhizobium participate in formation of root nodules on plants. They take nitrogen from the atmosphere and transfer it to plants. Azotobacter is the last obligate aerobe that uses the Entner-Doudoroff pathway. They are found typically in neutral to alkaline soils, aquatic environments, and plants. They are capable of atmospheric nitrogen fixation by conversion to ammonia. Have you ever had a beer that tastes kind of like sulfur?
Yeah.
You know why that is?
Why?
Because the bacteria genus Ximomonas. Ximomonas are the only facultative anaerobe to use the Entner-Doudoroff pathway. They are responsible for the bacteria in beer that produces a sulfur-like flavor that come from the synthesis of acetaldehyde and hydrogen sulfide.
Wow.
You know, I sure learned a lot today,
Me too.
and we hope you did too.